C.S. Lewis said this. This is brilliant. I love this. He said, the Bible asserts that each person will go on forever. Right? You all agree on that? Like when you die, that's not the end. You'll still live forever. It's just a passing through. You'll still live forever. So that's the premise. He says, there would be a good deal of things that would not be worth bothering about if I were going to live only 80 years or so, but which I had better bother about if I'm to live forever. Right? And then he says, if my bad temper or jealousy only gets worse for a span of 80 years, the increase will not be very noticeable. But what does it look like for that temper and jealous to grow nonstop for 1,000,000 years? And this is what he says. Hell is precisely the technical term for what that would be. I mean, you think you got some anger issues now? You ever see one of those those diagrams where, 1 degree of difference, not that much difference. I should probably go like this. 1 degree of difference is not that different. But when you take that 1 degree out miles and miles and miles, what does that difference look like? It's huge. I mean, you think you got anger issues now, if not dealt with, and God doesn't work in your heart now because of what Jesus did for you on the cross, that's not heaven. I mean, husbands and wives, you think you're annoyed by each other now. You don't want that in heaven, right? That ain't heaven, that's hell. You got to deal with that stuff before we get to this place called heaven that God's preparing for us, which is why sin needs to be dealt with and why this is so important, why God's mercy and grace towards us includes our consequences. That's God's mercy and grace. Think about it this way. If a husband was to cheat on his wife and the husband got caught, sorry, I got to pick on husbands, but let's say you get caught. Some would say, well, that's God's judgment. That's God's judgment on him. I'm glad he got that, I'm glad he got what he deserved. I think there is some judgment in there, but I also see the mercy and grace of God in that too. Because left in darkness, where does that story lead? How does that destroy him and her and the family that they leave behind? And how does that affect their kids and their grandkids? But if what was in darkness is brought to light, and if that repentance happens, he brings reconciliation and healing in that relationship. Part of God's wrath on us is for us to get away with what we think we're getting away with. Like if you literally, quote unquote, get away with what you're hiding, I would see that more as God's wrath on you than mercy and grace. Because when you bring it out into the light, there's healing, there's reconciliation that occurs. So let me ask you a question. Maybe you're not dealing with that issue, but think about your own life, how this hits home. In fact, I would encourage you to play the tape forward. You can fast forward a videotape. You got DVDs now and all this digital stuff. You can fast forward the tape. Fast forward your life based off of the decisions that you're making. Do you want to face that consequence? Is that the end of the story that you want to tell?